Well, a day after Southern and Middle Belt leaders called for national dialogue, ethnic groups and former official leaders, political leaders rather, have also called on President Muhammadu Buhari to bring together people from different regions and discuss their grievances. They want the insecurity and division amongst Nigerians to be resolved before the 2023 general election. Punarimam Faintola reports.
Nigeria has been bothered by tension from different ethnic groups. Many are asking for changes in the way the country is governed. Some want the presidency to rotate around Nigeria's 6 regions, while others expect every area to benefit from oil revenue, infrastructure and government appointments. These calls have brought more division to the country. Now, a group from different ethnic backgrounds wants an end to this argument. The Yoruba group Afenifere says Nigeria needs a new constitution.
We are here because it is time to speak up. We are actually living on a borrowed time. For those of us who understand soccer, after 19 minutes, you have extra time. And that is the time we are in Nigeria today. But I tell you, we lose a lot of people we classify as the unimportant every day. When they die, nobody knows. When they die, nobody cares.
The solution is simple. Change the constitution to a federal system. Majority of things causing tension, disharmony, instability in the country today, namely revenue allocation, security, ethnicity, devolution of past, have been taken care of by our founding fathers in the pre-independent federal constitution.
The Igbos are accusing the Nigerian government of not involving them in appointed positions.
It's not now a matter only of justice, equity, and fairness. We should look at ourselves. Which other group in Nigeria makes Nigeria look like a nation? Our people, my people, are in every corner of Nigeria. We make Nigeria look like a nation. And we have a saying, where you live, you develop.
The Middle Belt group says every region should be allowed to lead. The conversation focused on where the next president should come from.
Talking about rotational presidency, what I thought we should be looking at is credibility, competency, patriotism, nationalistic thinking, the love for one another, and things like that. That is what I thought should constitute who becomes Nigeria's president. Not regional, tribal, ethnical, or any other thing. Please disagree with me, but I will speak. This is why we are here.
If my brother says the North is going, be sure the Middle Belt is not going with you. Restructuring has to be done so that we can do things right and have a country where all of us can say this is our own. Before 2023, if at all, by the grace of God, we get there, we should ensure that votes count. And in saying that votes count, we are all saying that there has to be electronic voting.
The suggestions will now be sent to the presidency for review. Punarimam Faintola, Arise News.
Well, for more on this, we're being joined by IHECHUKWU Madubuike, a former Minister of Education and Health. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, well, the search for a Nigeria that everyone believes in seems to be ongoing right now. What are your thoughts? What do you think it will take for that Nigeria to be achieved? Is it restructuring and all the other things that are being mentioned at the different zonal hearings for the amendment of the Constitution?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to discuss and talk with ourselves, not to talk to ourselves. or at ourselves. Discussion is an elixir that releases bottled up emotions. If you talk to yourself, as we found in Shakespeare's Hamlet, you will make no progress because nobody's listening to you. It becomes a soliloquy. If you talk to others, you will arrive at choices that can lead to development. And that's why we are begging the president to talk to us. That's why we have come together. Since the president is not talking to us, even though we put him to power, we have decided as citizens who are dismayed at the continuous drifting of this country to where we don't know. To be or not to be, that has been the question since this country turned to militarism, to military rule. We have not been where we want to be. And so we must ask the question, whether we want to be or not to be. And in the process, many issues arise. The issue of how we can live together is a cogent issue. It's an important, violent issue that only discussion, sincere and honest discussions, can bring about. There are plethora of problems confronting this country. Today it has gotten worse. Indeed, it is getting out of hands. From what we call banditry to near ethnic cleansing, to bloodletting, to marginalization, what some people have called marginality, to nepotism in appointments, to social, political, and economic exclusions, especially in certain parts of this country. These are the issues that need resolution. It cannot afford procrastination. Because as a literary person who has studied literature, who has read some tragedies, I know that procrastination has been the flaw, the bane of certain otherwise noble characters in classics, in tragedies that bind all human beings together.
Good.
So
let me comment there. Yeah, fine, good. I was listening to one of the speakers talk about credibility, competency, love for one another. This should be the basis for whatever we do in the country and not zoning. And a while ago you talked about discussing with, while he was talking, some were shouting him down. What do you make of the points he raised and the fact, even in that discussion, some people were shouting him down and he said, I must say what I want to say. Briefly, just a bit, then we'll get back to you. Go on.
Well, let me tell you, that was sophistry. That guy who was speaking was sophistry in display. You see, you are talking to intellectuals, people who are what we call Homo sapiens, people who are rational. And when they know when you are trying to distract an important discussion. What are you talking about? Competence. Since when has competence become the sole issue for electing our presidents? Is it telling us that the president that is now in power is the most competent in the country?
Sorry to interrupt you. We'll keep you on pause. We'll get back to you immediately after this time out. You're watching Newsnight. We'll be back in a bit. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. This is Newsnight, where we're still with Professor IHECHUKWU Madubuike, former Minister of Education and Health. Thank you so much for joining us. You were trying to make a point in response to my colleague's question earlier. And I'd also like to add to that, these fault lines are seem to be, widening every day. With developments in the southeast, the unfortunate killing of Ahmed Gulag. I wonder what you have to say about that he was killed right there in the southeast, and what this means for the unity of Nigeria. What will it take to pull Nigeria back from the brink?
Well, one has to regret the death of any human being anywhere, it doesn't matter where, because we're all humans, and the death of one person detracts from my own life. So to that extent, I'm very, very sorry about it. But that doesn't mean that there is any life that is greater than other lives. Many Southeasterners have been killed, and there's little or no cry about it from the powers that be. What we need is peace. What we need is justice. Justice is good to everybody. When there is justice in the southeast, there'll be justice in the southwest. There'll be justice in the northern part of this country. So it's our duty, all of us, to condemn any killing, not just one killing.
Prof, Senator Shehu Sani begs Ariwa youths not to avenge Gulag's murder. The Senate President Lawan begs those calling for revenge. Apparently, there are those calling for revenge. And Ohaneze says the killings negates the Igbo custom. A while ago, you said what we want is justice. What to you, or to the various ethnic groups or the regions that make up the country Nigeria, what to you will be justice? I said this because earlier, Prof, you said what somebody was saying was sophistry, and there seems to be that not being able to condone other people's opinions while wanting them to condone yours. I don't know whether you get my drift.
I get your drift very well. I'm a journalist too. The issue is that when you see a story, you apply the 5 ingredients of journalism. Okay? Where, what, how, when. And if you can apply these set rules, you'll be able to do what we call investigative journalism and arrive at the answer. You don't arrive at the answer before you investigate. Okay? Now, nobody has really investigated the killing of Gulag. And we're talking about revenge. Why is the revenge syndrome so much in our psyche in this country? It's because we don't love ourselves. Because we don't want to speak truth to power. It's because we have set different rules for different people. That's not how to run a country. We must, all of us, come to the table with the right set of mind. And he who comes to equity, must come with clean hands. Have all of us come with clean hands in some of the discussions we're having? We have not. And that's why we need to speak the truth to ourselves before we can make any progress in this country.
Different discussions, including, of course, the 2014 National Conference. And we're still asking for more discussions. It seems like a vicious cycle that has no end. Let's even assume that we can actually get to that table and discuss. What exactly should that discussion be? What should be the focus, and how soon can it be achieved?
As long as we live, we must discuss. When we stop discussing, we stop living. That's why we're human beings. If we can't stop discussing, if we have gotten the right answers, And that's why we continue to discuss. We do not only discuss for the sake of discussion, we discuss, arrive at decisions, and implement them. Part of the problems in the country is the will, the political will, to implement salutary decisions taken by a majority of the people. I was in the 2014 National Conference, and by consensus, we arrived at over 600 decisions, which were taken by people from every part of this country. Yet, it has not been implemented because certain people with certain mindset have their own different agenda and don't want to implement them. I was at Abacha's National Conference in 1994. We arrived at several decisions, including devolution of power, including a certain level of resource control, including also a certain level of security control by the constituent states and subnationalities. We even went to the extent of drafting a constitution based on that decision. No sooner than we did that, than the powers that be, that the status quo changed it. And what we have is a flawed constitution enacted by the military and handed over for implementation to a civilian regime.
So much, Professor IHECHUKWU Madubuike, former Minister of Education and Health.